Good morning and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Joe Maloney and I'm this week's service assistant.
And I'm Reverend Joanna Lubkin, minister of All Souls Church.
A few etiquette things. We keep everyone on mute for the service except for our time of sharing of joys and concerns.
If you're new to All Souls Church, please take a moment to click on the link in the order of service and in the chat for our connection card so that we can stay in touch. Today's service also includes the ritual of the flower ceremony. So if you have a flower or a picture of a flower or a plant, you might want to have it handy toward the end of the sermon.
It's up to you if you want to turn your camera on and be seen. We do record the service, though joys and concerns shared will not be part of the final recording.
Please feel free to chat in the chat box or to ignore it.
During the service, please feel free to get up, move around, or take a break from the screen as you need, but try to be present as possible and imagine we are all in the same room together.
Finally, remember that when you're invited to sing or to pray, to share or to chat, how you participate or don't is up to you.
After church, we will have some time to say hello in breakout rooms.
Now, hear these words of welcome.
All who enter in a spirit of curiosity, love, and justice are welcome this morning.
Welcome to people who love God, people who don't believe in God, and people who live in the not knowing.
People who find a higher purpose deep inside, people who find it in relationship with one another, and people who find it in the interdependence of all existence.
And all of the people in between.
Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify your gender or sexual orientation, wherever your life and faith journey has taken you, you are welcomed here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you understand the sacred, you bless us with your presence.
Now for our chalice lighting words. We light our flaming chalice with words from Helen Cohen. We stand at the edge of summer. The sun has at last warmed us enough that we began to trust in its presence. The last burst of spring blossoms, lavender and white, and deep pink banks for rhododendron, are giving way to summer peonies and roses. O source of the turning seasons, of earth, of life, of promise, gradually become fulfillment. May your people find a lightening of their burdens with the brightening of the sky. And we follow the All Souls tradition of lighting a green candle, symbolic of our commitment to being a green sanctuary congregation. May both these flames call us to kinship with and great care for the earth and her living creatures. As we center our hearts, let's sing our chalice song for June, Sing and Rejoice.
Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living us sing and rejoice, let all things living us, let all things rejoice, let all things living us sing and rejoice, let all things living us, let all things living us, let all things living us sing and rejoice. Let all things living, let all things living, sing and rejoice.
Good morning. Happy Father's Day, happy solstice, happy belated Juneteenth, and happy flower ceremony to you today. There's a lot to celebrate. Our opening words today are in honor of that flower celebration from the Unitarian Universalist poet Lynn Unger. What a gathering. The purple tongues of iris licking out at spikes of lupine, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There's nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like. This vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together in your sight. Purple, crimson, magenta, and blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone. In honor of this gathered community and the ways that we come together, let's sing our opening hymn, We Laugh, We Cry. For this and for all of our songs, there's sheet music at the end of your order of service if you'd like to follow along, and we'll be led by our choir.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need those friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless turning as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us thrills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we share with friends, they will linger on and on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
This year, our church community has been crafting a covenant, a set of mutual promises about how we are with one another. Today, we share a draft of our covenant in process and invite each of us to try it on for size. A couple of our members, I believe Andy and Mike, if I'm not mistaken, will be shepherding this covenant along. And we invite you to be in conversation about how this version of the covenant lands for you. Please join me in reading aloud the core of our covenant. The text will be on the screen and is in the order of service. We, the members of All Souls Church of Braintree, covenant to create a caring, affirming, and inclusive community that invites each of us to become our best self.
Thank you, Joe. As a spiritual community, we journey together through life's ups and downs, and we hold each other in love. We take this time in our service to reflect on our week, to recall the milestones, the joys, the concerns, the sorrows, the changes in our lives, and those in need of healing. If you have a heartfelt milestone, joy, or sorrow that you'd like to share, you're invited to share aloud or in the chat. If you'd like to share aloud, you can come off mute by pressing the mute/unmute button in the lower left corner, usually, of your screen, or by pressing *6 if you're calling in on a phone. Please share your name and then briefly express what's on your heart. If you're having trouble unmuting, give us a wave and we'll do our best to invite you to unmute from this end. After each person shares, we'll drop a stone in water, symbolic of the water gathered and blessed at this year's water ceremony. And again, please know that this section won't end up in the final recording. What's shared now is kept here in real time only. All are welcome to share now. For all of the sorrows and all of the joys that we hold in our hearts, I'll drop one final stone to remember and to rejoice. Invite us to center our hearts, holding all that's been shared and all that we hold inside, singing, "I Know This Rose Will Open," will be led by Jess Huteman. invite you to join me now in a time of meditation and prayer, first in words, then in silence, and then in melody. Our words of meditation today are from Reverend Kristen Grassel-Schmidt. Ground of all being, great nourishing spirit. This morning especially, we give thanks for beautiful days right in between spring and summer, for flowers and green trees and freshly cut grass and lazy lakeside afternoons, for the sound of and sight and heart swell of being together in this space, even this virtual space made holy by our presence. For church years gone well, for ice cream and all manner of frozen treats on warm summer days, and for all who father. For all who have warm and loving relationships with their fathers and their children, we give thanks. For those who, for whatever reason, did not know their fathers, we will try to remember that this can be an uncomfortable day for you and others. And for those whose relationships with their fathers or children are painful or complicated, we support you. This Father's Day, we lift up our gratitude for all kinds of fathers and for all of the amazing ways fatherly love transcends bloodlines and legal categories. And this morning especially, we pray for peace. Peace in faraway lands and peace at home. Peace in our community, peace in every heart. For these and for all of the hopes and aches and prayers of our own hearts, we pray for love's sake. Let us be together now in shared silence.
Every week in our church, we take up an offering. It's good to remind ourselves from time to time that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that this is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our yearly programs and ministries, pay for our staff and professional religious leaders, and finance the upkeep and beauty of our building. And we know that we could easily submit those pledge checks to the church at any convenient time. But we take an offering during our service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance, to visibly bring in the harvest at this most cherished hour of our week. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. There's a link in the chat in the order of service for you to donate online or you can also send a check in to the church office. This morning's offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship.
I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Upon a mountain, my God's soul, or a mountain far and small, all around me looks so shy. Ask my God if all was mine. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. The river Jordan runs like gold, chills the body, not the soul. Ain't but one train on this track, runs to heaven and right back. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
Beautifully done, choir. Thank you. We now share a reading, and I invite Alicia Jaromin to be our reader this morning.
The reading today is Travelers Upon the Earth by Elizabeth Strong. Enter into the communion of flowers with joyful hearts. Enter with reverent thoughts. It has taken long months beneath cold ground for these flowers to prepare their blooming. It has taken each of us long times of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare for our living now. The blooming season is short. The flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all too brief timelines. Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, and sounds. Let us celebrate together in love, that as we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours together among the flowers.
Thank you, Alicia. So as a reminder, toward the end of my sermon and reflection, we'll bless our flowers. So if you have an actual flower or plant handy, or a picture of the flower, or you'd like to draw a picture of a flower, now's a good time to just have it handy. When I moved into my current apartment here in Jamaica Plain, I inherited a garden. In the backyard, the edges were overgrown and there was a wild section in the back that clearly used to be a well-tended garden, and my housemate and I mostly ignored it for the first year or so, although we had big plans of planting a whole bunch of flowers someday. But our front walkway has this beautiful edging. There's something new blooming every few weeks, and I never know what to expect. Daffodils, irises, something that's maybe lavender, and now the lilies that I brought to yesterday's flower exchange. Some unknown to me previous tenant planted these perennials with care. I am so delighted with every new surprise bloom. I think of a line from the Bible in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 11, which reminds us of all of the good things that we inherit from those who came before, that we drink from wells that we did not dig and eat from vines that we did not plant. Church is like this. All Souls is like this. We inherit a community where generations before have planted seeds of rituals, connections, and their contributions. Things were metaphorically blooming already when each of us arrived, and that we've been able to enjoy. For all that which is a perennial gift, we give thanks. Last year, I spoke to a much earlier tenant of this apartment when a package got misdelivered to our address. She asked me, "Oh, hey, did the strawberries and raspberries that we planted in the backyard survive? It's been several years, so I don't know if they would have." And I realized I'd never taken a close look, but the idea of strawberries, which is one of my favorite fruits, in my own backyard was so exciting, I headed right outside to search for them. It's a pretty small yard, so it was pretty clear pretty quickly that there were no such strawberries to be found. However, that big unruly bush by the fence whose thorns snagged my clothes whenever I walked by, upon closer inspection, it was their raspberry bush, grown huge and expanding with gusto throughout the yard. I marveled that it had just kept growing with no attention from us. But here's the thing, I'm allergic to raspberries. Even touching the berries makes my skin react. I felt so disappointed. Like, we have this huge fruit-bearing plant in our backyard and I can't even touch it. I was whining about this to a friend when he was over and he said, "Wait, really? I love raspberries." He and his young daughter came over several times that summer, and they are always delighted in picking the berries, usually eating more than ended up in the Tupperware that they brought to take home. It was a reminder that some things are just meant to be shared. I take my cat Bean out into the yard on a little harness and leash most days so that she can live a good life and explore and chase the chipmunks. And it's forced me to slow down and experience the natural world at her pace. Earlier this week, I noticed that she was walking really daintily to step over these dark red berries that were just all over the yard. I looked up and saw that they were growing from the one tree that we have and that there were hundreds of them. I snapped a picture with my phone and posted it on Facebook to a neighborhood free group. I wrote something like, "I don't know what these berries are or if they're edible, but if they are, let me know if you want to come pick them." The comments flooded in, some of them in all caps. "Mulberries!" Dozens of my neighbors were absolutely thrilled to be invited to wander into my backyard and pick what they thought they could eat. With my own allergies, I wasn't interested in trying them myself, but I'm getting a lot of joy out of knowing that sharing this harvest brings other people joy. And there sure is an abundance of them. Church is like this too. Not everything in church is for each of us as individuals. When something doesn't move you or inspire you, that's okay. Maybe it wasn't meant for you, and something else will be for you next week. Reverend Jason Leiden, who now serves in Chicago but used to live near us in JP, has said that when a sermon or a church event wasn't his cup of tea, he got joy in knowing that it was feeding somebody else's spirit. And we want to be a community where we all get fed. It may seem strange, but I am so grateful for all of the times where I've witnessed church folks disagree about theology or express different opinions about what you want and what you like to see in our church services at events. Because at All Souls, I've seen those disagreements held with great respect and with an abiding sense of love for the individuals and for the community. That's a sign of a healthy, caring church community. And I see you all affirming that in the covenant in process. I love how you demonstrate care, acceptance, and hold up the good of the whole community. Keep it up. For the abundance that we can share, and for that which feeds our community, we give thanks. Last summer, I spent a lot of time in my backyard, both with Bean on our little cat walkabouts, as well as with friends socializing at a distance at the height of the pandemic. And I often looked around the yard and I said how much I wished that there were some flowers in the bare spots. I complained about this for most of the summer until someone asked me if I had planted flowers. I hadn't planted flowers. Eventually I did, got some marigolds and lavender seedlings. They didn't do so well. Maybe I waited too long, or they didn't get the sun or water or nutrients that they needed to thrive. I should try again in a different way this summer. But I tell you, it felt really good to actually plant them. On the day this spring that I knew I wouldn't need to move for my next ministry position, I planted wildflowers in one of the bare spots. Roots. If we want something to grow or to have a chance at growing, we have to actually plant it. What would you like to see grow within the church? What seeds would you need to plant to be able to grow the church as you would love to see it? What do you notice is beginning to grow that you want to nurture? What do you have capacity and interest in tending? During my 2 years at All Souls, I'm looking back and seeing so many beautiful things that we've planted and tended together. This list cannot be all-inclusive. The Sunday Service and Music Committee has grown its capacity for lay-led services, crafting such rich conversations and reflections to share with the community. Our anti-racism group and our social action and environmental committee have given us ways to come together for justice. Our historic building is being preserved thanks to the dedication of congregants applying for grants, showing up at town hall, and overseeing the restoration projects. We've shared our gorgeous building with community groups in need of space as the pandemic allows. Our choir and our musicians continue to inspire us by offering their gifts and growing their skills in bringing it to a digital ministry. We've held fundraisers and Dickens festivals, enjoyed each other's company at potlucks, applauded each other's talents, and joined with other faith communities for interfaith services. We've built a covenant together, which will keep growing and being tended in the months and years to come. We've begun a network of care, a structured way to support one another through hard times, the link to which is in the order of service. In these 2 years, we've welcomed new members and friends. We've mourned those we've lost. We've weathered this difficult season of the pandemic together, growing and adapting and supporting one another. And you have welcomed me into your lives. For all of this, I am so grateful. For the seeds that we plant, for that which is in bud, and for all of the possibilities of what may yet grow, we give thanks. We come now to the flower ceremony, also known as the flower communion service. This ritual was originally created in 1923, nearly 100 years ago, by Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek. Čapek founded the Unitarian Church in what was then Czechoslovakia, and the service was later brought to us in the United States by his wife, Maya. About the flower ceremony, Reginald Zottoli wrote, "The significance of the flower communion is that as no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike, yet each has a contribution to make. Together, the different flowers form a beautiful bouquet." He concludes, "Our common bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower, and thus it is with our church community. It would not be the same without each and every one of us. This service is a statement of our community." And so I invite you now, if you have a flower with you, or a symbol of a flower in some way, or even if you don't, hold it up with you, and you might want to switch to gallery view so that you can see everyone. That's an option, usually in the upper right corner of your screen where it says view. Beloveds, whether you have been a part of All Souls for decades or just for this hour, you are a contribution to this community. Your flower adds its own special beauty, fragrance, and gifts to this garden. To you, I say, may this flower remind you of your worth and the beauty of your soul. As we look at each other's faces, let us remember the symbolism of these flowers. These flowers are a call to love and care for anyone in our congregation, not just our friends, not just the people we know, and not just the people we tend to agree with. It is a tangible reminder to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person and to practice love. Spirit of life, for that which is a perennial gift, we give thanks. For the abundance that we can share and for that which feeds our community, we give thanks. For the seeds that we plant, for that which is in bud, and for all the possibilities of what may yet grow, we give thanks. May these flowers be blessed, and may we. So may it be, and amen. In honor of these companions on this earth, we'll sing our closing hymn, one of our favorites, Blue Boat Home.
Questions singing away by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, till the great winds urging me on. Read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Our closing words today are from the poet Donna Markova. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes on to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on in fruit. So may we too give to enrich that which comes after us. Go in peace. Go and be blessed as you are a blessing. Amen. Our postlude today is something I wanted to offer as a gift to you all. It's text from Psalm 97. In Hebrew is Or Zarua La Tzadik, light is planted for the righteous, or Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha, and for the upright in heart, joy. This is a version that is the music by Dan Nichols, and the English is by Rabbi Shefa Gold.
Bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum yum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum
Beloveds, we have our closing ritual of announcements and invitations, but first, a number of acknowledgements and thanks. To those who brought together today's service, to Alicia for tech support and jumping in to read, to Maureen for being willing to read but having to step away, all is well, to Mary for ushering, to Dawn for flute, to Jacob for music, to every one of you for being here. Thank you. A particular shout out to our staff, Jacob Clapper, our music director, Maggie Evans, our social media and webmaster, coordinator, guru, helpmate, to Sherry Kruger, our administrative assistant. Y'all have been resilient and flexible and good-hearted, and I just could not have done it without you this year. So blessings on you and thank you. All right, finally, some announcements here. So coming up this week, we move into our summertime rhythm, although it's still pretty full and busy for a little bit. So this Monday and Friday, we'll still have our connection circles. Those are planned to continue throughout the summer, at the moment on Zoom, but you'll hear otherwise if anything else is planned otherwise. So Monday and Friday, feel free to drop in for conversation. This Monday evening is also a Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 p.m. And this coming Friday is the deadline for our summer edition of the Chimes newsletter. So if you have anything that you'd like folks to know about for the whole summer, this is the time to get all that info into Maggie. And this week is also the Unitarian Universalists General Assembly. It's a gathering of thousands of Unitarian Universalists from the US, Canada, and around the world. And this is the second one that will be entirely virtual. A lot of the programming is open regardless of whether you've registered. So I invite you to go to uua.org/GA to look into whether there's anything that catches your eye. It runs from Wednesday through Sunday. And on Sunday, you'll get a little taste of GA regardless. So in the parish hall at church, I will be joining you there to stream the General Assembly service. We have a special viewing time at our normal 10:30 a.m. So you can come if you'd like, and you're ready to and able to the parish hall with masks on. We'll have the windows open, and we will be doing our best to stream the service onto the screen, the wall in the parish hall. And if you're further away or you need to join on Zoom for whatever reason, we will be screen sharing it there too. So you will be able to join us in whatever way feels best for you and your family right now. So I'll be there for that. If you are willing to learn how to do the relatively simple tech setup, please plan to stay for about 15 minutes after that service ends if we're in person, so I can just show you what I did, because we'll be continuing with a hybrid in-person and virtual model for the summer, and we want to make sure folks are prepared to do that. We are planning a kind of farewell picnic, probably for Saturday, July 11th, but I'm going to run it by the board at our meeting on Monday. So please stay tuned for details and exact date and time in your email in the Chimes, and probably in a special email as well. So hope to see all of you on that. Finally, I will turn it over to the chair of our board, Joe. So those of you who were at our annual meeting 2 weeks ago heard about the slate of folks running for office. Everyone who is a registered member should have received a ballot and a chance to vote for folks running for the board and other elected positions. An email went out earlier this week with the results, but just to make sure everyone has a chance to hear them and be up to speed, Joe is going to share them for us. So drum roll, please, and with gratitude for everyone who is willing to move into positions of leadership. Joe.
Yes, thank you very much, Joanna. I just want to say thank you again to everyone who attended our annual meeting, and also thank you to our nominating committee as well. So everyone who was on the ballot was elected. And I do want to say thank you to our incoming leadership, our outgoing leadership, and our renewing leadership. And just on a side note, I know, Joanna, this is your last official sermon with us. So I do want to say thank you very much for all of your ministry, all of your support, all that you have done with us during this unprecedented time. And I know that we will be seeing you next week and also next month as well. But I just want to give you a shout out and say thank you very much for all that you have done for this church community.
Thank you, Joe. It has truly been my joy. Oh, that's it. You're not reading the name. Okay, great. That was it. Everyone who ran was elected. Great. Perfect. Check your email for a list of who that was. All right. Are there any other church announcements that we have missed? I'm just looking through to make sure I have not missed anybody here.
Oh, I just wanted to add too that if anyone's interested in leading a summer service, then to please contact Mary and myself. It could be like a poem, it could be a talk, or if you're also interested in helping with the technology as well, to please let Mary and I know. And if you have any questions, then we're the two people you can contact.
Thank you. Yes. And we're trying to make the technology as simple as possible to set up while still giving a good experience for folks who are offsite. So if you're joining us for offsite, we already thank you for giving us feedback on what works and what didn't and what was troublesome for you. So it may not be beautiful and crisp the first week, but we hope to get there by the end of the summer. So thank you. All right, so if you would like to stick around for some social time in breakout rooms, we'll have one that's actually, let's just do two random breakout rooms. I think will be best for today. Does that work for you, Alicia? I can create them if you'd like. You got it. Of course, you're on it. If you need to head off for the day, that is fine. I hope to see pretty much all of you next Sunday for our General Assembly service online or in the parish hall.